Hey YouTube, it's echobear, and today I want to review an app for you guys that's called Skeletomb. Now before I get into talking about this app and why I like it, let's get through some of the serious stuff. So Skeletomb is made by Punk Labs, and the first version that I can find of it being released was on September 25th, 2015. And as far as genre goes, this is definitely just your plain and simple adventure app. You have your quest and you have your little duder and you go. What I said about the genre is pretty much just a very basic summary of this entire game. As you look deeper into it, there's a ton of different modes that you can play within this one. The main one that I kind of want to talk about is the adventure mode. Pretty much you have different worlds, different levels that you traverse through with your little character. So there's that mode, you have 3 lives, you have a finite number of levels that you're going through. They're pretty much set types of levels as you're going through them, so it's fairly easy to get through them fairly quickly. I personally haven't gotten to the very end of them, but I've still gotten fairly far and it's a really fun mode. The next mode that you can try out is Endless Mode, and that's essentially what it's called. It's an endless version of the same levels that you've been playing. And then the last mode that there's a lot of substantial gameplay in is the Labyrinth mode, where pretty much it takes the main sections from the other 2 modes and that's the entire thing. You have to navigate your way through this huge labyrinth and just kind of go forever, killing monsters, collecting coins, and just trying to survive because you do have a limited number of hits that you can take before you do die. So that's pretty much like the basics of this game. You pretty much get 3 different game modes for free, which is definitely a huge bonus when a lot of stuff like this costs money to get the other modes. Like, I've noticed that recently. But this one is super kind. It gives you a ton of modes to play all for free and it's just super wonderful. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is how this game controls. It's a little wonky. So this game is kind of what I want to call a thumb breaker, because I can't play this game for any substantial amount of time without making my thumbs hurt. Because the way this game is set up, every time you want to move, you have to either tap the screen, touch the screen, or swipe the screen. And it's really quite annoying after a while because this game is one of those where you want to be able to move quickly, you want to be able to progress really fastly? I don't know if that's a word, but you want to be able to progress at a fairly decent pace. And when you just have to be like swipe, 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 your thumb gets really tired really quickly. And for me, I kind of have to resign to using 2 thumbs to get where I want faster, but even then both of my thumbs end up hurting and just ache, and I hate that. I've seen other games that operate like this same kind of premise where pretty much it controls more or less like you drag your hand around, like if it were a joystick. And I appreciate that a lot more like with this type of game, because you're going to be going for a really long time if you get good at this, and you're not going to have thumbs by the end of this if you do get good at this. So it's definitely a huge drawback for me. Like, the controls themselves within the game work really well, like don't get me wrong. Like, they are fantastic. It's very tight, it's very well done, but just the method in which you move or move your character just causes me physical harm. And I can usually marathon games that require tapping for a really long time without any issues, and this one actually gets to me and makes my hands sore. So if you already have issues with hand soreness, this is going to be an issue. If you don't and want to maintain your thumbs, then don't do what I do. Don't review apps. My thumbs are going to be destroyed by the time I'm 30. But honestly, like I was saying, the controls within the app are really good. It works for what it is, but just the method of it is definitely a huge drawback for me. And then to one of my favorite parts of any review, the music. The music in this game is seriously fantastic. Like, that's the only word I have for it. All of the different modes have different styles of music that go along with them that fit the different moods that they're trying to convey. The adventure is just kind of like happy and bubbly and do-do-do. The Endless is like hard and edgy and intense, and Labyrinth has its own style as well. But the thing I absolutely love about this game is you can swap out the music if you want to. So if you're playing in endless mode and you want the happy, bubbly music that you get while you're playing in adventure mode, you can still have that. And that's honestly a huge bonus, because a lot of times I get frustrated with games where if I do like a part of the soundtrack, it's like a very small section of it, and I can't get back to it without returning to older levels or having to backtrack, or just kind of being like, well, I liked it, and that's it. This one, it lets me like have my favorite kind of music with me no matter what version of the game I'm playing. So overall, that's like a huge bonus to me, and I greatly appreciate the developers for putting that in there. The music itself is honestly really just catchy as well. Like, I have the adventure theme stuck in my head right now, and just all of them are very individualized on their own, so it almost feels like you're playing a different game depending on what soundtrack you're listening to. It's honestly kind of incredible the way it all works with each other, but it does, and it makes for a super cohesive like type of game that you get to play. And one of the last things that I like to talk about with apps is the design of the game. Just the way it looks aesthetically. Like, is it pleasing? Is it displeasing? Does it look pretty? And all that nonsense. And this one definitely is pleasing. It's such a beautiful game. Like, every single level feels really foggy and kind of mysterious and spooky. The adventure levels, like, even though you're starting out in like your classic like happy green land, everything's happy and wonderful, it still has like a very kind of Shadow of the Colossus feel to it, if that makes sense. Everything about it feels very smoky, very abandoned, very spooky, and just very kind of lonely, because it's just you and whatever monsters you're fighting. Like, there's nothing else outside of that, and everything's trying to kill you. But like, overall, the feeling and the mood and the tone that this app has, just like visually, is incredible. Like, especially since it's just very pixelated, well, not pixelated, it's a very blocky cubist style of art, and for that to have personality and that much feel to it is really genuinely impressive. Like, my hat's off to you. That's a huge bonus for me. And just in general, the colors are all very cool. They're all very pretty. All of the monster designs are kind of quirky and cute. The bats are adorable, but I just love bats in general. The obstacles, while difficult to figure out how to get past, are like fairly decent. They're well designed, like they work well within the game and all of that. So now that you guys have heard me gush about this app for a little while and kind of pick it apart, I'm honestly gonna have to give this game a 7 out of 10. It's still a really fun game, even though my thumbs ache after playing it. It's a super like well-made game. It's super functional. Everything about it is very well polished. There's just that one tiny little drawback that just makes my thumbs ache and make its score ache a little bit too. So as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot that you guys spend time out of your day watching my silly videos. Make sure to stay to the very end to see some more videos that I've done. Make sure to leave a like and a comment down below, or a dislike if you didn't like it. But just let me know what you guys thought about this video. Let me know if you guys have anything you want to see me talk about in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!